Alright everyone, I want to show you how I do research. I thought this might be interesting to share because for the first time I'm doing kind of extensive research about a video that I'm making, and I wanted to talk to you about how I've developed my style of research over the years. This is probably nothing unique necessarily, but I just wanted to share it because it really works well for me, and I know lots of people struggle with studying and doing research for different things, and so this is a way that I've found really worked for me over the years. So I tend to use spiral bound notebooks. You can see here, this one is so used and torn that it's the cover is not even on it anymore. And I've also can do collage in these. I mean, it's, I think in some ways very similar to a bullet journal, but I don't use a nice fancy papered journal. I use something with lines, and I like spiral bound because it can lie flat when you want to look at pages and reference them easily. Once I fill the notebook, I number the pages as well, so that if I'm doing research in a future book, I can refer back to pages of a different book. In this one here, this is actually from my university days. You can see that when I'm referencing specific texts, I put down quotes, and then I put down my page numbers as well. So this is a way for me to make sure that when I'm citing my work later, I've got a good idea of where to look for it in the actual original text. So you can see here, when I was writing reference notes for an essay, I was also writing my footnote numbers here and crossing them off, knowing that I'd used the sources that I was hoping to use, so that when I look back over my notes, if I needed to use something else, I would be able to tell which ones I had already used, because when you're doing, you know, multiple word essays, you don't want to repeat yourself. Now, obviously, when I'm doing a video for my YouTube channel, my sources don't have to be cited, and I don't have to write footnotes or anything like that. So it's a much less technical process than it is when you're writing an essay or an article. But for me, I still find it really useful for quoting things from places to put them down like this. So by the time you see this video, the actual poetry video will already be up, so I will definitely link that. But I found this book, which has been wonderful. I'm reading the whole thing. This book is called Ways of Curating by Ulrich Obrist, and it's about art, visual art more than poetry, but I really find that they go hand in hand, and referencing them goes hand in hand. And so I'm going to be using, reading this as well and seeing if there's anything I can relate from this text to talk about in the video. The other thing I'm going to be using is my poetry notebook. So this is a separate book that I have, which has my poems and quotes. I have an earlier one that went up to 2006, and so in here I will take, so the difference between the research in this one and the research in this book is that these quotes are more informational, and I find the quotes and poems that I put into this book are more inspirational to me. So information, like more strict factual stuff, and then here I have poems that I love, quotes that I love, and it's just a smaller place to reference these things. And I'll put, like, if I have one little quote from a novel that I love, I'll put it in here as well, and different poems from poetry collections that I want to keep and reference again. So I have an ongoing notebook like that all the time. And then I also wanted to just mention briefly the fact that research begets more. So I discovered this, A Defense of Poetry and Other Essays by Percy Shelley, when I was reading this book, and it was referenced in there. And I downloaded this free from iBooks, and so I will definitely be looking over this as well and seeing if there's any more notes from this that I'd like to include. So I wanted to share this with you today, and I hope you found it useful. If you have any other questions about it, you can put it in the comments down below. But I do find this very useful for me, and obviously I put tabs in different parts on my notebooks so that if I'm looking for something in specific, I can reference back to it. And I'm almost done this notebook. Just have a few more pages and then I'm going to be buying a new one. So that's kind of exciting. It's always exciting to start a new one. So thanks so much.